What's up everyone, Andy here from 4K Downtime, bringing you a brand new series this time where I talk about the third-party support for the Nintendo Switch. So I'm going to go through some details of what they've already released out and the coming soon titles, as well as what I personally want these companies to put in. So the first company I decided to talk about is Capcom. Now I eventually will move on to different companies because I look at this as a long running series where I'm going to talk about different developers, again in this same similar structure, about what games that they've already brought out, what games I could look forward to, as well as what would make logical sense for them to port it over. And obviously it has to be realistic as well. I'm not going to put any games here that I personally want where like it seems a bit too either graphically demanding or it just seems too impossible to actually port it onto the system. So with that said, let's begin with Capcom. So right off the bat, I want to talk about the games that they've already brought out and what I personally think about them. And obviously again, moving on, then we'll talk about coming soon. So with the titles that they've already got out, it's the first one that comes into my mind is Monster Hunter Double Cross. Now this one, technically speaking, it's not really out, well, at least not in the West, but in Japan only. Now Monster Hunter Double Cross seems like one of those games that I have a feeling Capcom probably will eventually release it over here in the West, because it makes little sense for them not to do it because it sells in the West as well. So this one I don't really want to spend too much time. It's just purely because I'm also not the biggest hardcore fan of Monster Hunter, but it's just something that I could see them bringing out later on. Now the other two is one of them is Ultra Street Fighter 2 and the Revelations collection. Now with Ultra Street Fighter 2, there's really not much to say. I'll admit the game itself, while it played well, it's an old port and it didn't really did anything new, and the stuff that it did do new, like with the motion controlling, the first person Hadouken, none of those were really that great. But the best thing about it is that it actually did sold well, and I think it was potentially due to this game selling so well that Capcom is actually a bit more committed to supporting the Switch, because I believe it sold over 500,000, and I'm pretty sure at this point it's probably much higher than that. Then we have the Revelation collections, which also wasn't bad. I bought Revelations 1 but not 2, just purely because I have yet to invest money in the micro SD card, and because of that I simply don't have any room for Revelations 2 at the moment. But I'll probably do considering buying it at a certain point, because I just love having these Resident Evil games portable. Now so as you can see, they've only got 3 games so far that is actually out on the system. So aside from one of them that have sold relatively well, that Capcom actually consider a big success, the other 2 maybe just okay, the sales was okay. And as far as the port job that they've done for it, yeah, they're not bad. Again, because they're old ports, yeah, so I expected them to run at least somewhat decent. But the first year of support from Capcom was never really that strong in my eyes, and again, this could potentially be due to just the fact that a lot of third-party developers wasn't so sure. There's hardly any third-party at the first year of the Switch's life cycle where they were really on board from the very get-go. So I don't really blame them. It's 3 games. But then we go to the coming soon titles, like what we do have to look forward to. And while I have just kind of harp on Ultra Street Fighter 2 for selling literally $34.99, so that's £35 over here for just one game, we have the Street Fighter 30th Anniversary Collection, which to me is an excellent package, by the way, and I believe that they're also selling it around the same price as well. So yeah, I kind of hate myself for getting Ultra Street Fighter 2, but at the same time, this deal is pretty sweet. It's 12 games and I'm really looking forward to it. So if you haven't bought Ultra Street Fighter 2 yet and you're serious considering, I highly recommend just don't buy that one and just wait for the 30th Anniversary Collection. Following that is Mega Man 11, which is one of those titles, yeah, along with Street Fighter, the Anniversary Collection, is that it seems like it's going to launch on all systems on the same day, and that's the one thing with third-party games going forward that I would really wish the Switch will not get any sort of delay compared to all the other versions. It's like they will all be on the market same day and everything, and I'm glad Mega Man 11 is going to be with that as well. Then we have the Legacy Collection 1 and 2, so of course those are old ports, so if you've never played them yet, then this might be the opportunity to get them. However, like Revelations Collection, you could only have one on a physical card and the other one is not. So I've already talked about this before and I don't want to kick a dead horse, but this is Capcom being Capcom. I don't know why it can't both be on the same card, but again, that's just them. Then we have the X Collection as well, and not much detail has came out of this one, so there's not really much to say of that other than the fact that it's once again coming onto the Switch. Then finally, probably the most mysterious game out of the list here, which have somewhat been confirmed, but nothing has come out of it at the moment, and that's a new Ace Attorney game. Now, when Ace Attorney first came out on the DS, I thought it was a brilliant game, and I followed it up until Apollo Justice. I didn't play anyone that came after that, just purely because I never really had time, but a new Ace Attorney game on the Switch will be great, and the series has always been, well, primarily exclusive to Nintendo. I know they've released it on mobile devices as well, but I always look at it as kind of like it's more akin to the DS, so I'm kind of interested to see how, if they were to release on the Switch, how it would actually be. So that pretty much wraps it up for coming soon. Now, the next section I want to focus on is talk about what I really want from this company, and keep in mind I'm gonna be realistic here. I'm not going to just like want games that doesn't seem likely to be on the Switch, or games that just seems unrealistic to ask for it to be on the Switch. And in the same time, I want to be realistic based on the company's reception. So this is Capcom we're talking about, and Capcom, I'm sure a lot of you guys have already know that they love porting games as of late. They really have, it almost seems like they really ever make new games these days, and whenever they do, they either turn out not to be so great. So you'll see what I mean as I keep going along. But let's start off. First of all, I like them to be more Resident Evil games on here, primarily the old ones. I'm not too sure about Resident Evil 7, however, games like the Origin Collection, where they originated from a Nintendo system, I felt like those games should definitely be on the Switch, as well as Resident Evil 4, 5, and 6. Now, could they release that all as a collection? I don't know, but then again, knowing them and considering how they re-released the physical edition of 4, 5, and 6 on PS4 and Xbox One, if they were to do it, I have a feeling it will be the same thing. It will just be a same, like, you know, each game on its own card, because why not? Moving on, I would actually want a new Monster Hunter game from them, and I have a feeling they probably will do. I don't think, even if they did end up porting Double Cross over to the West, I don't look at it as it's something that they won't consider making a new one, just purely because that would be insane, considering the big install base that the Switch already has at the moment, and it's still ongoing. It's still only going to grow going here from in, and then I just felt, yeah, it's money that you're definitely going to make. Like, if it sells well on other platforms, yeah, and not to mention Monster Hunter games have always sold well on Nintendo consoles, and not to mention this time it's a HD console with a hybrid, so I definitely can see that they will make a lot of money if they did. So that's one that I'm pretty sure will happen. Next is something that not a lot of people have mentioned, I suppose, but like the Okami port, I would really want that as well, because they recently released again a HD update of Okami. That would be a great port to put it over. Again, nothing that the Switch couldn't handle, seems to be fairly easy if they were to do that. And taking it portable, again, would love that. The other port, thing is, these are all remaining, I have to say, they're all ports, by the way. So the Devil May Cry collection, if you they did an HD update of that one where it has the trilogy, that could be ported over. I'm also looking at some Dead Rising ports as well, so maybe Dead Rising 1 and 2 along with all of its DLC could be ported over. I'm not sure about Dead Rising 3 or 4, because as far as I know, I think Microsoft owns the rights to the third game, and the fourth game, while technically it's on PS4, I'm just not too sure would Capcom be willing to like actually have to downgrade it for it to be on the Switch. So, but 1 and 2 and along with all of its DLC, I certainly see that's possible. And this is one that I don't see many people ask for, and to be fair, I can kind of understand why, because the series didn't really went anywhere after the first game, and that is the Lost Planet ports. And the main reason why I'm saying some of these ports here is like for example Lost Planet and DMC, is because Capcom has released a statement saying that they wish to port some of the their older games onto the Switch, which has never ever been on a Nintendo platform before. So I kind of felt games like DMC and of course Okami, although there was an Okami game that I forgot what was it called again, that did appear on the DS, I believe. But yeah, most of these ports that I'm asking for is that they have never been on a Nintendo platform before. Some of them have, but like, you know, most of them haven't. So I see that Capcom, if they were to port these games, because like I said, ports is pretty much what they do these days. Like, you know, it seems to be the place where they make most of their monies from anyway. So if they were to port, these were ports that I wouldn't really mind. Actually, on another note, I will like them to port the Marvel vs. Capcom 3 Ultimate Edition on here. Now, I could really care less if they port Infinite, because from what I've seen of it, like, you know, and the way how I see Capcom's handling it, it just seems like they stopped caring anyway. So if they want to port Infinite and they find a way to port it and make it run smooth on the Switch, then hey, by all means, I don't mind that. If you could release it as the number 3 Ultimate along with Infinite as one package, and like, you know, sell at a discounted price, hey Capcom, I'll buy it. But yeah, those are mainly the ports that I want, and I felt like it's realistic. Again, I just don't want to ask for certain games that I just don't seem like it's possible. Like Monster Hunter World, I know a lot of people have been asking about that, but from what I've seen, what my brother have played of it, yeah, it does seems to be a game that might be just a little too demanding for the Switch to handle, at least in my eyes. Like, you know, if some developers actually can do it and prove me wrong, hey, that's great, because in cases like this, I love to be proven wrong. But I just felt like Capcom might have like their own kind of idea for what they think a Monster Hunter game for the Switch should be like, and if that was the case, then hey, I'm more than happy, because I think I'll rather take a new Monster Hunter game from them rather than, like, you know, just to take a port. So again, those are just my thoughts of it. So this is the first episode of Switch third-party support. Like I said, I'm going to do more of this down the line. Capcom is just so happens to be the first company I decided to tackle, but for the next episode I will tackle a different third-party company, and it will basically be done in this same similar structure. So I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I hope you guys liked it as well. If you did like the video, consider subscribing and hitting the like button. If not, you can hit a dislike. But what's most important, guys, I would love to hear what you had to say. So feel free to comment below and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. But again, thank you so much for watching. Have a great day, and I'll see you next time. Bye.